Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
So guys, I would like to begin by saying that, ever since I have been into gem and jewelry industry, I have been a great admirer of auction houses, and it was indeed a great delight for me to visit the Christie's New York office and to see the magnificent Maharajas and Mughal collection, and which, as all of you all know, had spectacular Indian jewelry from Indian Mughals and Islams, right? And these jewels had spectacular daggers. There were Golconda, there were Baroda carpet, necklaces, bracelets, and more. So definitely Indian jewels play a significant relevance in auction houses. And
Absolutely.
today I'm delighted to have Marie Cecile, who is a specialist from Christie's Geneva, and who will talk to us about the best-selling Indian at Christie's. So Marie, thank you so much for giving us your time. It's an
Thank
honor.
you.
And believe me, I have attended most of your webinars, and the way you explain jewelry and the way you explain any era, any period is just so spectacular.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, so I would like to begin by introducing Marie. So after specializing in contemporary art and family law, Marie started her journey with Christie's London, and soon she was in charge of auction catalog. And in the year 2015, she was invited to join Christie's Geneva Jewelry Department, where she is now an associate specialist. So now today we have a specialist from Christie's with us, all the way from Geneva, who's going to be talking to us all about the Indian jewels sold at the Christie's. To know your first memory with jewelry. When
Yes.
did you know jewelry was a true calling?
Funny because jewelry is such a big part of my life, nowadays, my work life, but, my friends are also people that work in jewelry. And hi, Charlotte. It's nice to see you. But it's funny because jewelry wasn't big in my family at all. My mom wears mostly costume jewelry. She has a different pair of earrings every day for sure. It goes lovely with gray hair. But, we don't have much jewelry. But obviously, as a young girl, as many of you probably experienced, you go and, have a look inside your mom's, jewelry box and see what are you going to find there. Right. And I remember at some point, I was quite young, I found a lovely pearl necklace. And I thought, oh my God, it's so bright, it's so shiny, I love it. And the funny kind of thing about that is that my mom always told me, all my jewels, they always go to you because, you're my only daughter. I only have 2 other brothers. And when I looked at that pearl necklace, I was like, great, this one's coming to me. And she said, actually, that's the only one that you can't have because I had it for your brother's christening. So it's going to his wife.
So somebody from the audience Manpriya has commented that she loves your necklace that you're wearing. So could you just show us what are you wearing?
I'm wearing a Buccellati necklace from our next auction. I love it. It's funny because I wore it to come down to this live in the office today. And my colleague Leo Kriako said, I don't think I've ever seen that necklace apart from on your neck. I'm like, I know. I'm just so in love with it. I just wear it all the time.
So can we see it a little more closer if you don't mind?
Yes, of course. It's lovely. It's super well articulated and it's quite fun for Buccellati. It's a bit further away from their, usually lace kind of designs. Yeah, there it is. It's coming up on 22nd of July and the low estimate is $20,000.
Wow. So we have Manpriya asking about the lowest estimate. That's so spectacular.
Yeah.
Such a lovely lifestyle that you have, that you can wear these jewelry.
I know.
That's so amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I enjoy my job so much, and I'm very grateful every day for what I get to do. So yeah.
So lovely. That's so lovely because I can see all the passion. Whenever you've conducted webinars, I've always seen so much of passion, flowing from your heart. So I guess that's very important. Okay, so since you mentioned about these online auction, I believe there is an online happening, I think on somewhere around in June, and I know for the fact there's a spectacular big emerald cut diamond, which is we would like to know first about that spectacular diamond.
Yes, so we have coming up, in the month of June in Christie's, based in Christie's, New York. But here it is, the beauty. It's an online auction, and this is a 28.86 carat diamond. It is D color. Look at me wearing it; it's beautiful.
That's you.
I wish. I wish. It's in New York, and unfortunately we cannot travel, so I can't see it in real. So it's D color, which is the highest color, and it's VVS1 clarity. So it's near perfect. And yeah, so we are very excited to have it for auction in June. The estimates are $1 to $2 million. And it's quite cool because we started the jewelry auctions online with the Elizabeth Taylor collection in 2011.
Okay.
It was such a huge collection, as many of you know, and we had some lots that, you know, unfortunately we couldn't put in a normal catalog, and so we decided to open up to online auction, and it was a complete, you know, success. With 100% of the lots sold, and since then they've continued, and we've had some amazing results in the last few months. We've had an auction in February and 2 in April and 1 in May. And they were all sold above 93% by lot, and, you know, great results. So we thought, you know, why not? This beautiful diamond could go online and see what happens, you know?
Oh, like, I'm just waiting, you know, for the auction to begin and to know the sale is.
Yeah, we've had a huge amount of interest, I have to say. The price is quite attractive. So, you know, fingers crossed it breaks new record.
I'm sure about that. I'm sure about that. So tell me that since you know, just spoke about the online auction, I would like to know that what do you think auctions are still popular? Sorry, why do you think auctions are still popular way to purchase jewelry, especially during the current situation?
Yes. Well, I think, you know, auctions are very popular because they come with, you know, behind an auction house, especially like, you know, Christie's or others.
Right.
We come with the knowledge of a team of jewelry specialists that have been looking at the stones and have been looking at the jewelry and have concerted together. You know, at Christie's in jewelry department, we are very much an international team. We work together all the time. We're in contact with Japan, Hong Kong, Los Angeles, and New York, you know, on a daily basis. So I think, yeah, it is. And I think that in the current situation where people cannot travel, or hopefully they can soon, to view the lots, it's important to have, you know, the backing of a team of specialists. You know, it's our job to tell you if it's right or how much it is worth. So for sure, online auction, I think, are going to move forward really strongly at Christie's, and it's, you know, it's a delight to be able to engage into this new path, even more, you know, harder than we were before, and I think it's going to be very successful.
I'm sure about that. So now let's get on to the main conversation. Let's talk about the Indian jewels which have been sold at Christie's.
Yes, many.
Yes.
Look what I have.
Yes. Oh, wow. You have the catalog with you.
Yeah, I have the real version. Here it is.
Look at that. Look at that.
So Indian jewelry and Christie's is a long, you know, it's a long love story. As many of you know, our international head of jewelry, Rahul Kadakia, is Indian, comes from India, and is a rising star. You know, he's been a star at Christie's since he first joined. Absolutely. And he was working in London in 1997, and they decided with his colleague David Warren, they both still work at Christie's, that they were gonna, you know, produce a catalogue of extremely well curated Indian jewels to celebrate the 50 years anniversary of Indian independence. And so that happened in October 1997, and this is this catalogue. In it, they worked together to produce, you know, as I said, something extremely well curated. I think there was only about 50 jewels in it, bearing in mind that in our normal catalogues we have approximately 300 to 400 pieces. So this is really well curated. And in it was an amazing Spinel necklace. There it is. It's funny because I wrote recently an article for Christie's.com about the 10, you know, jewels that changed the market. Yes. And I'm sure that this one was part of it because it's so important. So this is a Spinel necklace. And as we know, in India, Spinel is super important because they are, you know, they come in larger sizes than rubies, and they have this bright hue that can go from brown to purplish to red. I mean, personally, I'm a huge fan of Spinels. And this necklace is important because few examples of Mughal necklaces survive because of the Mughal treasury being looted by the Persian ruler Nadir Shah in 1739. But this necklace that was offered in 1997 was composed of 11 spinel beads, you can see this, for a total weight of over 877 carats. So imposing necklace for sure. And
Right.
3 of the beads, most importantly, were engraved with the names of 3 of the most famous Mughal emperors, Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan. Please excuse me for the pronunciation if it's not good.
All right.
So
Wow.
this necklace was offered for an estimate of 300 to 500,000 pounds, and it sold for more than 880,000 pounds. So it was a really good success, and that started the Indian jewelry auction at Christie's. So the first one was in 1997.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, we had one in 1999, because it took, you know, Rahul and David and the team in London 2 years to find the jewels that were high quality enough to be offered, you know, in a Christie's sale.
I'm sure about that. So, and also I would like to know about really magnificent jewels too, especially the pearls, which I have.
Yes, so it's a great story. I think I have. So this was offered in 1999, actually. So it was the catalog after. And I've lost my, maybe you have it, but I've lost the pricing now. I realized I forgot my sheet on the Akbar Perl. But it's a wonderful story because it's a huge pearl that's about, you know, that big. And it was, as you can see here, and it's cracked and, you know, it's Baroque. And you can see the enamel that you showed on the previous picture is a little bit faded. And our specialist, there you go. Our specialist, David Warren, consigned that piece for the 99 auction. And it consigned it as just a pearl pendant, but looking at the size of it and looking at the work on the enamel, even though it was a little bit, you know, faded, so this must be important because a pearl like this would have belonged to someone that mattered very, very much, you know. And whilst he was cataloging it and looking at it, he found out the date written. I show it somewhere, but we can't zoom in.
Okay.
And looking at the dates and doing his research, he found out that this pearl actually belonged to Emperor Akbar that you showed the picture of. So it was incredible. I think the low estimate was 50,000 pounds, and it broke the record. I've lost the number. I apologize. If you send me a message, I will send you the actual record price after. But it was a huge success. So another, you know, 2 years later, another great success for an Indian jewelry auction.
That's spectacular. So I believe that Cartier has been a significant important when it comes to Indian jewelry at Christie's. Of the most important Cartier pieces made for the Indian Maharajas and the Mughals.
Yes, so we had from 1997 was the first Indian jewelry auction at Christie's and in the world. We moved on to the June 2019 auction of the Maharajas, and before we speak about that, have a look at that picture. This is a picture of Jacques Cartier in India in 1911. And I mean, all the French jewelers and, you know, the jewelers, the important jewelers in the world went to India at the beginning of the 20th century because, you know, that's where, you know, culture was. You know, it was so interested. People were starting to travel in the Art Deco period. And Cartier is most famous for that because they created with, you know, with the stones that were specifically carved in India, an amazing style of jewelry that was nicknamed Tutti Frutti in the 1970s.
Yes, I do have a Tutti Frutti here. This is by Cartier.
There you go. And so, as I was saying, this is about the 2019 Mughal, Maharaja and Mughal Magnificence auction that was held at Christie's, New York.
Right.
Amazing auction, and I've selected a few lots from that auction, and this is the one that I really wanted to start talking about. So this was a Tutti Frutti, as I said. So it was, you can see it's a brooch, and what was amazing is that Cartier first started to create Western jewelry with the stones that were purchased in India, and so you can see still the style of the, you know, the French jewelry, Cartier in particular, but they added touches of color, and I think it makes everything better. You know, a mix of culture is always good, in my view anyway. And so I think here it's beautiful because you see something that could have been quite geometric, you know, quite, you know, not boring, but Art Deco, simple Art Deco, I'd say. And boom, you have a splash of color on it, and it becomes amazing and, you know, exciting.
Right, absolutely. So I believe that even Raja of Patiala had some magnificent jewelry here, right?
Yeah. So let's have a picture of the Maharaja of Patiala. Is my favorite. But I have so many favorites, but I mean, look at this man. And it's a funny story because from what I've read and heard in recent, months, Cartier, when they first came to India, they brought jewelry, in order to get in touch with the Maharajas and, to present their jewels, and they brought jewels for women.
Right.
Little did they know that the men were the jewelry in India more than the women. And so they ended up selling pocket watches a lot rather than, the necklaces for the ladies. So here's the perfect example for me of a man that wears jewelry and knows how to wear it. It was a wonderful jewelry collectioner and a big collector and a big client of Cartier, Boucheron and everyone. And he had a few wives. There you go.
Few wives.
That's what I want to talk about. The lady on his right, so on the left, you can see here, is one of his Maharani, and she's wearing this. So this is an advert from Cartier in the 50s, and I think, or in the 30s, I forgot now. And so this is all made by Cartier, and this is for me representative of what I call the second wave of Art Deco. So the first wave is the Tutti Frutti brooch Renu showed you earlier, where you have a typical, Art Deco Western design with splashes of color. And this is something different. Here you have India, you have India in your face, but it's created by a French jeweler, Cartier. And this was created for the Maharaja of Patiala, that for one of his Maharani. And you can see the top part here, the choker, we were actually so proud to offer for auction in the Maharaja and Mughal Magnificent Sale in June 2019. It sold for more than $1 million. I mean, it's just a piece of history, It's great. It's the first time that, you can see some fun and creativity coming from around the world into French jewelry and French master craftsmanship.
Absolutely. So I just have a question, how difficult it is or how easy it is, for specialists to actually go hunting and treasure hunting all these magnificent jewelry.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
To ask you how easy or how challenging it may be for a jewelry specialist to go treasure hunting of all these spectacular jewelry. How much time does
I mean, it's very difficult because for us, for example, in Geneva, we have an auction in May and one in November every year. Well, this year our May auction is in July, but and so it means that between May and November, for example, during the summertime, or between November and May, which is Christmas time in Europe, specialists have to go around the world and gather about 300 pieces of jewelry, magnificent pieces of jewelry to present for sale, because it's a business, we have to make money and we have to fill in, go through budgets and make sure that we are we're valuable enough. So it's very, very hard, and it's such a treasure when you find out some pieces like this one or others, like the Art Deco Egyptian Revival necklace we offered a couple of years ago, because that this kind of piece will carry the auction. It's absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So it's when we were so proud to offer part of the Altani collection. It was an amazing thing.
So back to jewelry, I would like to ask you about this, because this particular jewelry is so spectacular. I mean,
I love it. It's teeny weeny. It's like this. And it's by Cartier, and it belonged to Daisy Fellows. She was very important for Cartier, and especially for the Cartier Hindu jewels, as they were called before they were called Tutti Frutti, because she ordered a big necklace, the Hindu necklace, that she wore quite often and in the public events. So there are many photographs of her. She was the heiress of the Singer, sewing machine company. So she was, loaded. And she loved to spend her money at Cartier. And I love this brooch because it's so fun. It is a small Maharaja, on a dressed in diamonds with turquoise and emerald. And you can see the colors are so much different from what they could be on a typical Art Deco piece. And it's so bright and shiny. And for me, it represents it's a lovely way of representing the second wave of the Art Deco movement,
Right. So before I continue, I just want to tell you that Bob from Dubai, he is sending you a big hi, and Bob from the Dubai office.
Hi, Bob. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi. Okay, so since you've spoken so much about Art Deco, I would like you to explain to all the audience what is an Art Deco jewelry, and where did the entire inspiration of Art Deco come?
Yeah, so it's very important for Indian jewelry, of course. So there you go. It's all explained. I don't even have to talk.
Of course.
So Art Deco jewels, the Art Deco period is determined between approximately, the mid-1910s and all the way to the beginning of World War II in Europe, 1939 approximately. And it's Art Deco is a period for me about freedom, you know, about the corset is out in Europe. You know, people are wearing shorter skirts, their hair go up. So if you have short hair, then you have, you know, a pair of earrings that you want to maybe display. And after the Belle Epoque, that was all very garlandy and all very, you know, frilly in a way, it was a big change when they decided it was all going to be about straight line, you know. And there you go, this is New York, and you can see those buildings, the Chrysler building, you know, the Empire State Building, all those buildings inspired the jewelry that was worn. And it's all about, for me, jewelry is all about contest, and it's all about women, because they are the ones that wear it. Well, in Europe anyway, not in India, as Cartier found out. And so it's fun to see that jewelry was now not something that was inherited maybe from family and that had to be worn, like a tiara or a devant corsage, but more about what can I wear with this dress, you know. And this is the dress I'm going to wear, you know, this sautoir by Van Cleef & Arpels. And I might be wearing it in my back because my dress is open in the back, you know. And, you know, so for me, Art Deco is a period that, you know, represents freedom and creativity and inspiration from the outside world, like India, like, you know, Egypt. And that's why it's very, I mean, for me, it's very close to my heart. And the term Art Deco comes from the 1925 Exposition des Arts Décoratifs et Modernes, the exhibition of modern and decorative art in Paris. And so you say art décoratif, art déco, and that's where it comes from.
Right. So please tell me that were most of the art or jewelry very transformable? Because especially like, you know, this particular necklace, I believe it can be worn in multiple ways.
Yes, exactly. So it's very important because at the time, as it is now, but even so at the time, even more, jewelry was expensive, and it needed to be, you know, it needed to be worn in several ways. You can't just ask someone to pay such an amount of money and just have a necklace. Also, the craftsmanship at the time, it was exceptional. So something that it was not easy, but it was expected to be able to separate a necklace and wear it as several bracelets, as you have here, or just as a pendant, or put it in your hair, you know.
Right. Beautiful.
This necklace sold at Christie's New York for $1.5 million. So I would definitely expect to be able to wear it as a bracelet if I wanted to.
Right. So, you know, I've always wanted to understand what is the difference between magnificent jewelry sale and fine jewelry sale. Because I've gotten so confused because
for us it makes so much sense, you know, because you have fine jewels, important jewels, and mag jewels. I don't know what you mean. But of course, it's all about the rarity of the items consigned as well as the sell side. For example, in Geneva, we only have magnificent jewels. That's a magnificent jewels. I mean, there you go. It was offered lastly in June 2019 in New York during the MMM auction, as we call it, the Maharaja and Mughal Magnificence. But we offered it before in Geneva as well, where it sold for 15 million. So this is by Cartier. So yeah, this is a magnificent jewels item. However, we also have important jewels or fine jewels. And exactly, so it doesn't mean that the jewel is less important. It means that it is less rare and you are more likely to sit on the market. And we have quite a lot of jewelry that is offered through Christie's and that client want to sell with us because, you know, we have been the jewelry market leader for 26 years in a row now. So people do come to us and we want to be able to give the best platform for the jewelry. You know, it's not fair to offer a brooch like this next to the Deco corsage you put just before. So it's nice to have a similar group of jewelry together. So, you know, there they are. So it's all about price, really.
It's all about, because, you know, I've always got a little confused because sometimes in your catalog, I have magnificent jewelry sale. Sometimes it comes fine. Yeah. I've always wondered what is the difference between both of them. But thank you so much, you know, for decoding the so beautifully. Okay. So now moving on, I would like to ask you that can you share a few tips for the first-time buyers who want to purchase jewelry from an auction house?
I would say, and I always say to everyone, whether they are first-time buyer or not, go with your heart. This is what matters. For me, jewelry is very emotional, and it's something that either you buy for someone to wear or you as a present, or you buy for yourself to wear. And the first thing you should do when you take a piece of jewelry in your hand is, what do you feel? Do you feel like, ooh, you know, that's interesting. And maybe after studying, you won't like it and then it won't be for you. Or maybe you as soon as you see it, you think, oh, I'm in love, and then you touch it, and again, it's not for you. But I think the first thing you need to do is buy with your heart and think about in maybe 3 or 4 years, will you still be happy to have it in your jewelry box when you open it? Then go for it.
Okay, all right. So now, since you've spoken about, like about some tips about buying jewelry, I would like you to talk to us about the entire appraisal. Like, how does a jewelry appraise jewels?
Yeah, so it's quite, straightforward. Well, or not, depends on the time. But usually, clients come to us saying, I wish to sell that piece of jewelry, that jewel. And either they're around and they drop by the office.
Okay.
So we can get a call from upstairs saying, can you come down and some jewel for us to sell? Or client contact us, send us pictures. And we say, okay, we're coming to you or you're coming to us. Or sometimes, often the case in Geneva, we go to bank safes as well, because that's where jewelries are kept in Geneva also a lot. And then we always do. Usually we work as a team, unless it's not possible. It's always 2 people because I think it's better to have a different idea. Because if you're alone and you think, oh my God, that's amazing, and you're going to get a crazy price, and you need someone next to you that say, wait, look, it might not be as amazing as you think, or the other way around. Someone will look at a piece and think, I don't know. And the other one will be like, but wait, look at this part. So, it's always, I think it's very important as ever to work as a team. And then we decide together and we come with a proposal for the client. We decide, we offer which auction, we offer the price, the estimates. And we also do, sometimes a proposal is just easy as telling him the price nowadays, or sometimes it's about an email, or if it's a client that wishes, sometimes there are family, there are estates, there are lawyers, there's lots of people involved. And in that case, we produce a written document, explaining why we are the best and they should sell with us at that price.
Okay, so since you spoke about prices, I would like to know that how do you all set a price to a specific jewelry?
Yeah, so there's 2 things. I always keep the same story, but imagine you buy a Monet painting and you decide, nah, I don't like the face in the middle. I'm going to cut it out and put a Rembrandt or Picasso face in the middle.
Okay.
People do this with jewelry all the time. So it means that you have the value of the whole design, and then there's the value also of the stone, the intrinsic value. It is platinum, it is diamond, it is sapphire. So this is important to take into account. So there's 2 things. You have the value of the piece in itself, like for example the 28 carat that we're offering in New York. Yes. The value is in the diamond.
Yes.
That's $1 million in the stone, and that's why this is the value. But then you have pieces like I don't know, an Art Deco piece where for example the Tutti Frutti piece that you showed earlier.
Yes.
That was, the value is not in the stone. The value is in the fact that it is signed or not. It is from the Art Deco period. You can see, the emeralds are included, the onyx is not that rare. And so it depends on and most importantly, we refer to past prices also.
Okay. Oh, I understand. So tell me, there was a very interesting question asked by Kathy. She asked that how about packaging and delivery taxes?
So it depends. We are in Geneva, we are lucky to have a free port. So we have the possibility of seeing in the free port without having the item imported in Switzerland, and to give an idea, to actually view the item and give an idea of the price before the client imports and has to pay taxes. And otherwise, we usually, jewels are imported either by shipping or, and carried and declared at the airport.
Okay. So there's a whole procedure that goes.
Yes, absolutely. Everything is legal. There's no such thing as drop it on your table and leave. That's not possible with Christie's. We have too much exposure.
So tell me that you guys have an auction coming in Geneva in June or July and in November. So before how many months the entire procedure of your work starts? From the for you to design the catalog, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so basically as soon as one auction is finished, we start working on the next one. Sometimes, we have, because it takes a few months of business getting, as gathering the jewels that we're going to offer for auction. And then we have to do some research on some of them. Like, if you talk about a very, very important Van Cleef & Arpels piece, for example, we need to do research. We need to find out if it was worn by someone and all that. Then we have to, for important gemstones, send them to the independent laboratories like the GIA or the SSEF and get the results back. That makes a big impact on the price.
Okay.
And then we have to lay out the catalog, and that takes place about 2 months before the auction. So we have all the layout put together, and our photographer takes 2 or 3 weeks to photograph all the jewels, and then the catalog comes out 3 weeks before, and then the sale comes up and we do it all over again.
It's crazy because, you know, I have seen back to back, you know, because, you know, since I'm so active and following your Instagram and your website also, you know, one auction gets over and the auctions, jewels, and so it just goes. So
let me just say that I don't get bored at work.
I'm sure not about that. So there's another interesting question asked by Kathy. She's asked that have you ever come across fake or imitation jewelry, and how hard it is to say a piece of fine arts?
Well, it's very hard to tell the client if they are genuine, which they generally are. But it's true, we do see some fakes coming along. Usually it's from, you know, estates, or say my grandma used to wear this, or I found this in my safe, what is it? And you look at the signature and you think, you know, or you find that the stone is an imitation one. So it does happen. And it's never an easy conversation, I have to say, but you know, it has to be said, and you know, it's not something I relish, and I'm quite happy when it's not the case.
Wow. So tell me that if a customer tells you that no, I can guarantee that this particular jewelry has been signed, say by X brand, but you as a specialist don't agree to his statement. In that case, I'm sure it might be quite confusing for you to put across your point of view, or like how do you all handle such disputes?
Yeah, so in that case, we tell them that, you know, you should go to the maison, you know, whether it's Cartier, Van Cleef, Boucheron, Mellerio, wherever, go and present your piece there. And, you know, if you're not sure, maybe they give you the advice you want, or go to another, you know, expert, but in our expert opinion. And I mean, as I said, we have 26 years of jewelry market leadership. You know, we will not be comfortable offering this piece for auction. I'm sorry, you know, you disagree, but you know, this is our advice, because you know, we're not taking anything dodgy. It's too dangerous. It's not worth it, and you know, we don't want anything to do with that.
Right. So tell me that do you certify all the jewelries that come inside, you know, say for auction? Just make sure that the jewelry is authentic and the gemstone is treated, you know.
Oh yeah, we have what we call the laboratoire upstairs, that we have, you know, microscopes and refractometers, and we are mostly all trained gemologists. So for gemstones, we rely on that and the independent laboratories. And also, as I said, it's all about expertise. You know, my colleague Jean-Marc, who works with me, has been in the company for, I think, about more than 20 years. You know, François Curiel has been in the company for a lot more than that. We have, you know, it's our expertise.
Absolutely. You know, it's such a dream for me to come and, you know, I'm working
come see us.
I've always been such an admirer, fan, and a fascinator of the world of Christie's, always.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, I would like to ask you that which are the best kind of selling pieces at an auction house?
I'm gonna have to go with Art Deco. Since I've been in the business for 10 years now, jewelry business.
Right.
I think Art Deco is the equivalent of having a little black dress. You know, you always want one in your collection. You always have that dress or that top that you know is going to look good when you wear it. And Art Deco is the same. You're always going to be happy to have something like this. I mean, that's a special. But even an Art Deco bracelet, I think every jewelry collection should have one, and they always go well for auction if they are correctly priced, of course.
Right. So tell me, somebody had asked a question that. For somebody to be a jewelry collector, so what advice would you like to share with them? You know, is there like one particular piece of gemstone that they should focus on, like a ring to begin with, or a bracelet or a necklace? You know, how would you advise?
Yeah, it's very hard, this question. It's a very good one, actually, because as I said, jewelry is very emotional, so it depends on who you are. However, there are some basics that I think, you know, if you want to start a jewelry collection, you'd be happy to have and happy to wear anytime. I think a pair of diamond ear studs is something that is just very easy to wear, and it could go, you know, you can buy some for $500 all the way to $5 million easily, you know. So I think a pair of diamond ear studs and an Art Deco bracelet, because you can always wear an Art Deco bracelet, and you can, you know, tone it down if it's not too diamondy. You can tone it down with jeans, and you can wear it up with a black dress, for example. Then I say it's all about having, if you're looking to start a jewelry collection, go for quality above size, and go for quality over quantity. If you want, if you're passionate about rubies, maybe take a smaller one, but take a Burma no heat ruby. If you're passionate about diamond, again, maybe take a smaller one, but get a Golconda cushion shape if you want. It all depends.
Absolutely. Okay, so now moving on, tell me that a timeless piece of jewelry to you would be.
This is so hard because there are, I never wear jewelry, I have to say, and there it is. But it always goes, each season I have my favorite. I mean, look at this one that I can't take off my neck. And at the moment, I would say this kind of piece, because at the moment, not the one before.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. It's very sunny here. The temperatures are rising here. Everyone's wearing those summer dresses. And so I'd love to have, Van Cleef & Arpels, a vintage 1970s sautoir, because I just, I find it goes so well with the tan skin in the summer. And at the moment, that would be my go-to with this one.
But that's spectacular. That's something really spectacular.
Yeah, thank you. I wish it would be mine.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so now tell me that what is your on jewelry investment? Do people buy from auction houses for investment or for gifts?
Absolutely, people do buy for investments. I always advise, not against, but to be very careful, because as I said, jewelry is emotional. Jewelry is something that you are going to wear or look at, but at the same time, it's a great place to invest money in the way that it's small. It can be transported easily. But I think, below a couple of $1 million, it shouldn't be an investment. It should be something that you're happy to buy and keep and wear until, the market is the one you want to sell in.
Right, absolutely. So now let's talk about which is your most memorable sale.
Sorry?
Which is your most memorable sale?
Oh, it's the Beyond Boundaries auction. So that's not this picture.
Just give me a moment. Yes.
That's fine. That's the one. So I was at Christie's at Christie's Geneva for a couple of years only, and I speak about this a lot, so you might have heard it in my Art Deco talk or my Art Nouveau talk. But the Beyond Boundaries auction was special because it was the top of the Art Nouveau and the top of the modernist Art Deco, and it was all wrapped up in one, in a private collection, in a single owner sale, in an evening sale. And it was something that hadn't appeared in the market for more than 20 years. And it allowed me as a jewelry specialist to travel through France and Europe in general, and to go through, dig deep into archive and museums in order to find, drawings. And it allowed me to speak to many, many journalists and visit museum with curators, because everyone was so, astonished at the quality of this collection. So I would say it's not even a memorable sale. It's just a journey that I took between, I'd say, November 2016 all the way to November 2017. It was a whole year of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell me that, you mentioned that you traveled to France, and of course, like Christie's experts, do go treasure hunting around the world. So how about India, Mumbai, Jaipur, do
Yeah.
come to India very often?
I know our Asian team, because it's closer. We're trying to get very, I'm in Europe. It makes more sense that the specialists in Europe go to Europe, and the specialists, from New York go to Canada, for example.
Okay.
Unless it's a special collection, and sometimes it happens. It's a case that people travel farther. But indeed, the Hong Kong team would be in charge of the Indian, jewelry. But it's very hard, because the jewelry in India, I believe there are some really important taxes if you want to export antique jewelry out of India. And so this is not a market we've been able to develop so far.
Okay, so there's another interesting question asked by, he's asking, everything offered in wearable condition, as in the setting is secure? If items aren't in wearable condition, do you work on it before you guys offer it?
No, well, we don't, meaning that if something appears, comes to us broken in 3 pieces, we will not take it and fix it. We will, well, I don't know, I say that, but maybe, you know, there'll be the necklace of Marie Antoinette that comes in 3 pieces, and then we'll take it, you know. I mean, depends on but usually we don't work on the pieces, apart from if there's, you know, for example, a clasp is not secure,
Right.
then we will make sure that it is secure for the viewing, because we are very aware also of the fact that our jewelry is tried on and viewed by many, many people, and you don't want to have a piece of jewelry that falls apart when someone tries it on, because that's not correct. But we don't work on the piece. If the client has worked on the piece before giving it to us, we also mention it. We are very careful, especially with antique pieces. We always say, you know, later restored or restrung for a pearl necklace, or, you know, we will always mention the condition.
Right, absolutely. So there's someone who's made a statement. I love the Maharani Gayatri Devi pearl necklace at Christie's.
Yes, my God, it was amazing. It was in New York I forgot the year now. I think it was, I forgot. I think it was in the 2000s, but it was amazing. Yes, and my colleague David Warren still speaks about it, and we call him the Pearl Maestro.
Oh,
and he still speaks about it with, you know, sparkles in his eyes. He says it's the most beautiful pearl necklace he's ever seen.
Absolutely. And can you talk to us about the criteria for selecting jewelry pieces for an auction houses, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on several things. You know, it's the intrinsic value of the piece, of course. So what is it made of? Is it glass and silver? Probably not going to be for Christie's, unless it's very special or has provenance. Second criteria, the way it's made. Is it made in the Art Deco period? Is it made, you know, in the Georgian period? Is it made in the Renaissance period? You know, it makes sense. It impacts the value. And then the provenance. Was this worn by Princess Grace of Monaco? Was this worn by, you know, Queen Elizabeth? Doubtfully it would come for auction. Or, you know, I would love to, but doubtful. So this impacts the value as well. And then it is decided if it comes to Christie's or not. Also, we decide the sell sites according to taste. If the jewelry is magnificent and rare and historic, probably come to Geneva. If it's a lovely piece of jadeite that, even though it was consigned in New York, will probably be sold in Hong Kong, because that's where the market is.
Absolutely. Yeah. And how about in New York? It's going to be all Art Deco stuff, or is all
No, in New York they like big stone, and they like, for example, if we have a collection of Louis Comfort Tiffany or David Webb, definitely for New York, or, you know, the collection of, let's say, I don't know, you know, a very, you know, Mrs. Reagan, Nancy Reagan, it would be in New York.
Okay. So does much Georgian jewelry come to Christie's?
It does sometimes, and if it does, it comes to London, because that's where it's most, where the market is. Yeah.
Okay, so if there was one piece of jewelry you would own, which one would it be?
This is too hard. At the moment, this one.
This one. I can see you wearing it and counting it and just feeling so overjoyed with it, right?
Yeah, I am. That's what jewelry should be. It should make you happy. So at the moment, for sure, this one.
Right. So, you know, in fact, the whole craftsmanship of this particular necklace is just spectacular. I was really trying to zoom in and see for myself.
Yeah.
Is this necklace?
It's by Buccellati.
Okay.
It's an Italian firm. It's quite modern, but it's just the way it moves and it comes to the skin. It's just lovely. And as I said, you know, it's the summer here. People are tanned. It's a necklace that you can dress up by putting a black dress, or you can wear with jeans and a t-shirt and just look fantastic. You know, it's very comfortable. I love it.
And so, would this be your favorite piece of jewelry at Christie's?
This is so hard.
Right?
This is insane. Wow. Well, no, I just on the top of my head right now, I see so many things. We have a lovely emerald ring coming up in the next auction of more than 30 carats Colombian minor ore. That is just looks like glass. It's so beautiful. I'm in love with that one.
Right. And how about this one particular one? This Oppenheimer.
Oh, the Oppenheimer blue. That's such a great memory as well. It was in 2016 in May, and came for auction from a private collector. this 14.62 fancy vivid blue rectangular cut diamond, emerald cut diamond. And I mean, it was my pleasure to work on. It was the first time I was really in charge of writing the whole catalog stories about that. So it's great memory. And the fact that, you know, in your hand, it's like, you know, this, the estimates was $28 million. And it sold for more than $56 million, which was during that season at Christie's, not only the most expensive jewel ever sold, but also the most expensive piece of art even sold, you know, more expensive than a Bacon, than a, you know, than a Andy Warhol. It was a great, great stone, and it stayed a record for a long time. And, you know, I just love it. It was funny because, you know, I'm in charge. I do deal with jewelry and jewels on a daily basis on my desk, cataloging and all that, you know, taking pictures, not professional ones. Right. And I remember being on FaceTime with my mom and saying, "Oh, look, Mom, I have this ring on my finger. It sold yesterday for $58 million. And she said, "Put it down, put it down." Because she knows me as that little girl that breaks everything. I'm like, "I'm sorry."
Okay, so since you spoke about estimate, you know, there's another interesting question by Kathy. She's asking, I've always read about pieces that go well over the estimated price, but have you seen things that are sold under and other sellers disappointed by it?
So there's not only estimates at auction, there's also the reserve price. And the reserve price is confidential, and it's a price that is agreed between Christie's and the vendor. Okay. It is a price underneath which the vendor does not wish to sell, meaning that, for example, the Oppenheimer Blue, right, $28 to $35 million, the reserve price can be set at the highest price at the low estimate. So if the estimate is 28 to 35 million, the reserve cannot be 40 million. You know, the reserve will always be 28 million or lower. So this is something that we discuss with our clients, you know, before the auction, and when we consider a lot, to make sure that they are not disappointed. You know, when you have a lot that's worth 100,000, low estimate, and we say to them, you know, the reserve price will be 80,000, and they agree to that. And we have to tell them, you know, if someone bids 80,000 on the day of the auction, it will be sold. Do you agree with that? And they have to sign some paperwork to agree that, you know, to say that they agree.
Yeah. So I believe there's so much of work that, you know, from the time that jewelry comes to you, then you all appraise it, catalog, calculation, putting it up for auction, and auction day, and oh my God, crazy, right? And then that and not plan for another one. So it's like a never-ending procedure.
Absolutely.
That's something really incredible. Okay, and so tell me that. Is Christie's planning to also have a jewelry auction in India? You know, since India's its main market.
That's a very good question. So we have an office in Mumbai. We opened in 1994, and we were actually the first international auction house to open in India, which we're very proud of.
Lovely.
And we had the first auction in India in Mumbai in 2013, and it was, you know, a great success. I think more than 1,000 people attended. Since then, we haven't had any. I think it's all about logistics and the fact that we need to have a reason. You know, it's a lot of money invested when you have an auction. You know, you fly people in and you have to rent, you know, places and exhibit and all that. So if we find, I think one day, a jewelry collection that someone is willing to sell in India, I mean, for sure, we'll consider it, and I hope it will happen.
Yeah, and I hope it too. So because, you know, since I stay in Mumbai, you know, it's, you know, then I don't really need to travel to Geneva or to New York to like view your jewelry. I can just go to the Mumbai office, and there I can see jewelry and I can talk about
it. Would be amazing. It would be amazing. And I mean, in this, you know, very globalized work, I really hope it happens.
I hope so too. So let me check if we have any more questions. Else, I'm happy to wrap up, unless if you want to share some advice or some highlights about your career to all of us.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice. Well, I'd like to talk just a little bit about an online sale that we're hosting in Geneva for the first time on the 7th of July. It opens, and the collection, you probably heard me talk about it on Instagram or in the news. It's a collection of 101 Cartier clocks, all by Cartier, all in working order. The estimate go from $8,000 to $150,000. So there's one for everyone. And it will be, you know, online for the first time. We have Christie's Geneva doing an online auction. I'm very, very excited. And, you know, I hope it goes well. They will be on view in Geneva as well before you purchase them, which is great. And, you know, it's amazing to see a collection of, you know, clocks spanning 80 years, all in working order. Yeah, so it's you know, it's a great, it's another challenge, and I'm happy to be part of it.
So tell me that has the activity about this online sale started on your social media campaign, you know, because I would love to see these clocks and see how spectacular they are.
Yes. So we have a press release, but it's been it's in the work, and we have an amazing video coming up that I'm so excited to share, but I think we'll share it just before, because we don't want to share it too early. It's and no, at all jewelers, we don't have well, we have lovely rubies, depends how important you want to call it. We have a pigeon blood ruby, and we have another Burma no heat of more than 10 carat mounted by Bulgari. So there's many things coming up, and we are releasing you know, little by little to keep the interest going.
Right. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I wanted to say thank you so much for giving me a platform, and to be able to talk to you and organize this with you, Renu, has been absolutely wonderful. You're very professional, and it's always a pleasure to deal with you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Marie, so much for all your expertise and for all your inputs. I'm sure that everybody's really happy with the entire talk.
Great. Thank you so much.